Hey folks, this is Kalani. Some interesting things happened this week, including a round of nerfs for some of the more problematic classes and specs that you might have come across in PvP. There are some new gearing up options that could have been very lucrative if they weren't completely nerfed, and one of the major systems in Shadowlands might just point us towards a future patch date. Now before we jump in, be sure to pop by our live stream sometime over at twitch.tv/KalaniTV. We stream every Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday and Saturday, and we always love chatting with you wonderful folks, so I hope to see you soon. One of the more interesting pieces of news this week comes in the form of nerfs. We had a teeny bit of balance tuning last week, but no real nerfs were included. This time it's all nerfs, but they are quite specific. They're only related to PvP. So if you were hoping for any buffs at all or some nerfs for classes in PvE, we're gonna have to wait a bit longer, I'm afraid. Some of these PvP nerfs might interest you though. Some very potent specs like Balance Druid are on this list, so let's see who's on the chopping block this week. First up, all players will now deal 20% less damage to Death Knight, Hunter and Warlock pets. I guess pets in general were getting blown up too easily, making certain specs struggle in either Battlegrounds or Arena. If you ever had problems keeping your pets alive as a Beast Mastery Hunter or an Unholy DK, this change should give you a bit more time to work with. For everyone else though, that's a 20% damage nerf towards any and all pets. There's also a big change to 2v2 Arena. Dampening will begin at 20% when both teams have either a tank or a healer. Dampening reduces the effectiveness of healing in general in an arena, including absorption effects, and it stacks as time goes on. So the longer your arena battle lasts, the less effective healing is, and hopefully someone will end up dying to actually end your match. Starting the match with 20% dampening means we should see faster 2s matches when both sides have a tank or healer. If you run this double DPS, it doesn't look like this will change anything for you though. Now here's the one I know you're waiting for. Convoke the Spirits has been nerfed for Balance Druids, but it's probably not quite as bad as you were hoping for. Convoke the Spirits will no longer cast Full Moon or Feral Frenzy when engaged in combat with enemy players. This is still a pretty big deal, but the effective spells have a very low chance to proc from Convoke anyway. Convoke can still kill you inside a global without Full Moon or Feral Frenzy, but now you won't see those stupidly massive Full Moon crits. A Full Moon crit can almost one-shot anyone, by the way, so if a Boomkin was lucky enough to get a big full moon off during Convoke, you had almost zero chance of surviving. We're talking 30k plus crits. With that taken out, now you just have to worry about those 15k Star Surge crits. For the mages, the Triune Ward Legendary now provides 50% effective shields, down from 65% in PvP situations. I guess having 3 shields was proving to be a bit too potent for mages in PvP, so you'll just get 3 shields at 50% effectiveness, down from 3 shields at 65% effectiveness. That's a pretty hefty nerf overall though. It doesn't stop there. The Infernal Cascade Conduit has also been nerfed by 33% in PvP situations. This conduit increased your fire damage whenever you used Fire Blast during combustion, so it's an overall nerf to the damage potential of the combustion cooldown in PvP. Now if only they could fix the one-shot pyro bugs that have been going around, fire might be okay to play against in Arena again. And then for the Paladins, the Divine Favor PvP talent has had its cooldown increased to 30 seconds, and the cast speed increase was slashed down to a 30% increase, down from 60%. For the Protection and Rat Paladins, they will also see a 20% nerf to Word of Glory's healing in PvP. So if you were queuing into unkillable Prot Paladin healers in 2s, hopefully you might be able to get a bit more damage in with that healing nerf. The same goes for Rat Paladin teams, I guess. All of these hotfixes are scheduled to go live with the next weekly reset, which will be January 26th or January 27th, depending on what region you play in. I'm not surprised that Convoke was nerfed. I'm honestly surprised it wasn't nerfed more if they were going to make some PvP specific changes to the Covenant ability. But oh well, I'm guessing they're saving all of the big balance changes for the next major patch. It feels like they don't really want to do anything except rein in the massive outliers right now, like Full Moon one-shotting players. So I doubt we'll see much in the way of general balance tuning until a bit later on. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. With BlizzConline just around the corner, I expect news to be kinda slow until then as well, and hopefully we'll learn a lot about where the dev teams want to take the Shadowlands expansion, and how they feel about overall balance and how they're going to address it. And maybe we'll even see some larger changes to classes, including Covenant abilities. Time will tell. In other news, this week in Shadowlands could have also been a great time to grab some easy gear, if not for the huge Time Walking raid nerf. This nerf came through just after the Time Walking Ulduar raid was available a few weeks ago, but obviously we wouldn't see the impact of it until the next Time Walking raid popped up. It just and so happens that this week was the Cataclysm Time Walking event, which brings the Firelands raid back into the picture. If you worked your way through the Ulduar Time Walking raid, you probably noticed two things. First, the gear dropping was the same item level as normal Castle Nathria loot, item level 200. Not too bad for a Time Walking raid. And second, so many pieces of loot were dropping every time a boss died. Like seriously, 5 or 6 pieces per boss you killed if you had a large group working through the raid. Who cares about dungeons? Who cares about battlegrounds? Who cares about normal raiding at that point? Time Walking Ulduar allowed me to gear up my druid in record time. And I guess the dev team didn't like that because the Firelands Time Walking raid is nowhere near as lucrative in comparison. I've heard as few as 2 pieces of gear dropping for some larger raid sizes. So if you were super excited to get in on the Time Walking gear action and were confused as to why you weren't getting loot, that's why. They nerfed it. That also means future Time Walking events aren't going to be quite as worthwhile either, outside of that guaranteed item level 200 piece for running 5 Time Walking dungeons. We all know the dev team wants to keep gearing under control, so it shouldn't come as a surprise that they nerfed Time Walking raids, I guess. It was pretty broken before the nerf when compared to normal raiding, and if normal Castle Nathria isn't worth it because of a Time Walking raid, there's a bit of a problem there. But with Time Walking raid gear being reined in, we'll have to go back to our usual gearing up path, I guess. No shortcuts this time. Thankfully, we have been told that the dev team wants to make raiding and dungeons more satisfying in regards to loot and gear rewards, so it sounds like they do want us to get more gear and make gearing up a bit more interesting and potentially faster. They just don't want that to happen via Time Walking raids. So while Time Walking raids can still offer that item level 200 loot and offer you an additional gearing up pathway, it won't be all too crazy in terms of how much loot they drop for the rest of the Shadowlands expansion. This week was also special for another reason, Renown. We've gotten to the point where all chapters of the Covenant campaigns are accessible and completable, which means we've run out of extra sources of Renown. No more story quests means the only way to get Renown from this point onwards, assuming you're all caught up anyway, is the 2 weekly Renown quests in your Covenant Sanctum. Collect 1000 anima and collect the souls from the Maw. That's it. We also know that Renown caps at 40 and we won't receive any additional benefits past that point, so we have a very clear progression path for essentially completing the Renown system. If you do every weekly quest, you should hit Renown 40 the week beginning March 9th. So we have a little ways to go still. Some rewards at the end of the system are at least somewhat interesting, like the mount, title and transmog, so there's some little things to look forward to. Now, if only we had enough anima to actually purchase everything we wanted. Personally, I don't care too much about the Renown rewards on the way up to Renown 40, but I am very interested in what this timeline means for the future of the Shadowlands expansion. After everyone is maxed out with Renown, what happens then? Surely they will expand upon the Renown system in future patches somehow, whether that's to create a new faction that we farm Renown with, or if they just slap some more small rewards on higher tiers of Renown and let it keep going. I expect them to do something with this system in the future, unless they want to give up on Covenant Sanctums entirely, which I would be a bit surprised to see. The timing might help us pin down a future patch date though. If we hit max Renown on March 9th, patch 9.1 could land somewhere around there. The dev team might give us 2 weeks or so at max Renown to chill for a bit and then drop some extra content. A patch in March would be right on time if you look at the typical 3-month-ish patch cycle release that Blizzard has been keeping to for a while now, and it would come just after the BlizzConline event, so we'll have plenty of details for the future Shadowlands, I'm sure. If you look at things, it's actually kind of late for a patch to come in March, especially when you consider that they were probably working with the original release date of the expansion to kind of map out their patch plans. Patch 9.1 was probably being worked on before the game even launched, so if they're ahead of schedule, we could even see that patch 9.1 land earlier than March 9th, which would be super exciting. Whatever lies in store, if you've been keeping up with the Renown grind, we only have 7 weeks left before we're all capped out, and then something exciting will hopefully happen afterwards. But that's all for this video. What do you think will happen after we get to Renown 40? Will the dev team add in more pets, toys and transmog? Or do you think they'll just leave 40 as the cap and move on to a different system? How do you feel about the loot nerf to time walking raids? And are there any other PvP nerfs you think need to happen to bring a bit more balance to the game? Leave all your thoughts in the comment section below. If you want to come chat, hang out, maybe run a couple dungeons with us, you can find us over at twitch.tv/KalaniTV. We stream every Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday and Saturday, and watching the stream and coming to say hi is one of the best ways you can support the channel right now. And if you ever wanted to be included in the long list of names at the end of every video, a subscription on Twitch is the easiest way to make that happen. A big thank you to everyone who has subscribed on Twitch already and to our supporters over on Patreon. You can see the names floating by on screen. If you want to join these lovely guys and gals, well, now you know how. Remember to leave a like just below the video before you leave, and if you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. But apart from that, thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always I will see you next time.